Welcome to episode 81 of Cafe Racer Podcast. This is Just a Mess.
I'm Crash.
And I'm Gucci Steve. Come on.
Okay, normally I would blame the flubbed intro on the fact that we have a guest, but we screw it up every time, so we don't have an excuse.
That was the QuickTime player. I kept hitting the start button, and then I think I completely confused Jess and myself on the whole hand signal thing. I'm like going this, nothing was working. I'm like, yeah.
I thought you were gonna go one, and then and then put your finger down when it was me.
Right. You're right. It's just. Like I said, no accounting for morons, and I am one. So, how are you guys doing?
Good.
Great.
Yeah. Tell me about the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, because I couldn't get to go.
You didn't get to go?
No, we had some family stuff that came up that involved my 3 little granddaughters, which I'd rather do. So.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I went and played with the granddaughters that day. Plus, it was a really good excuse because I think it was like 105 with 105% humidity here on that day.
Oh.
Yeah. It's a really long ride down to Miami and then Fort Lauderdale, Miami, and then back up to Jupiter. So I'd rather play with the granddaughters. So how was the San Diego ride?
It was great. The weather was nice too. It was slightly hot. But at least it's a close commute to us. We didn't have to ride very far to the starting point, which was in Balboa Park.
Yeah, there was a bunch of really cool bikes. A couple of returning riders from last year, and then it seemed like I swear there weren't that many Triumph Bonneville variants last year, but this year it was like every other bike was a Thruxton, Scrambler, or Bonneville. Mm-hmm. It was kind of obscene.
Speaking of Scrambler, any Ducati Scramblers?
There was 2.
Mm-hmm.
And we were riding. So for the listeners, Jess is my girlfriend, and she rode on the back of my bike during the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride. She's ridden on the back of my bike a bunch more than that too, though. But she and I were riding really close to a Ducati Scrambler for a little while. And yeah, that thing is way smaller than my bike.
It looks so much smaller in person.
I told you, I wouldn't go as far as call it tiny, but it's small dimensional-wise. I think the wheelbase is shorter. I just think overall the Bonneville and Thruxtons are more, meaty. There's more substance to the bike.
Yeah, every dimension pretty much is smaller on the Scrambler.
It's narrower. The tank's shorter from end to end.
Yeah.
It's a cool bike. Any vintage bikes there?
Yeah, there was a bunch of vintage BMWs. There was at least 1 or 2 old Triumphs. What else was there? Oh, there were 2 new Honda CB1100s. One that had like no work done to it, and another one that had quite a bit. So it was kind of cool to see those 2, to compare and contrast.
What was work done to it? What was done to
it? One was kind of cafe styled, and the other one was just stock.
Yeah, the new bike was cafe styled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, like cutting frame type stuff, or just bolt-on?
No, just bolt-on stuff like handlebars, gauges, headlights, stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. Did you get any pictures of it?
Yeah, I posted some of the pictures I took to Instagram.
Okay.
Check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Peter Beach from Old Soul Youngblood had posted a bunch of pictures on Facebook that I shared from the Miami ride. It looked like they had a really good time. I even was going to try to head down to where their turnaround point is in Fort Lauderdale, but the family thing just kind of took precedence. So plus I knew I had like 3 other trips for the next 3 weekends in a row, and just wanted to. I knew I wasn't going to see the granddaughters for a while, so I decided.
And they're pretty cute, so I'd hang out with them too.
Yeah, and they're funny, and I like hanging out with them. But so how'd the helmets work out?
Really well. I really like the Shark Raw. Um, Jess, how do you like it?
I like it better than the medium I was wearing that didn't
Yeah.
fit.
Yeah, that other helmet you had was too big.
I really like that the face flips up.
Yeah.
hmm
Did you find yourself
It's
using that a
really,
lot? I mean,
I do use it when we slow down and I have something to itch or just need some air on my face. Yeah,
right.
it's really, really nice. Really comfortable.
Yeah. It's a cool looking helmet too. Kind of has that Imperial Death Star TIE fighter pilot look to it, kind of.
It kind of does. And
Yeah.
it's cute that we both match.
You should get a big logo from the Empire on the side of it.
There's one on my Tacoma, the Empire logo on the back of my truck.
That would be funny if we put them on the back of our helmets.
One thing that was funny, so we matched like head to toe, because we had the same helmet, and then we had matching bow ties, we had white dress shirts on, the same suspenders, black pants, and then we had these black and white saddle shoes on.
Mm-hmm.
And I swear, every time we stopped, like people came up and were like, "Oh, let me take your picture," because we were like the only couple that actually matched.
Yeah.
Like there were a bunch of couples that like the man was in a suit or something and the woman was in a dress.
I just thought of something as you're
Yeah.
telling me this. So you guys are driving down the road, right? And anybody that like flashes real quickly and takes a look at you may have mistaken you for two dudes on the bike.
Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Yep.
I thought of that.
Yeah, they probably thought of, a tall, skinny dude and like a 16-year-old husky boy.
14.
Or 14, sorry, 14. That's actually a reference to the fact that she had little boys' pants on.
Right, like from the juniors department, yeah.
Yeah, from the junior department, she had on boys' pants, and they were size 14 husky.
Nice, Jess. That's so funny. So the people that came up to take your picture, like, let's just go make sure it's not two guys first.
But most of the time they were taking our picture, we didn't have helmets on, so you could tell it was a guy and a girl. But it was really funny. But yeah, on the bike, we totally looked like two dudes.
Uh-huh. Yes, we did.
Hey, so how far was your ride? What was the miles like?
35 miles.
35? It was a
Yeah.
turnaround point, or from point A to point B, and then you guys just split from there?
Like an
we
A to
got
B to
lost.
C thing.
A to B.
Yeah. This
What?
year, yeah. So, Jess, do you want to tell that story?
We
Does she have
we
something to do
started
with this?
out.
Is this her fault?
No, I don't. I wish I did. I wish I could blame myself for this. That'd be a better story. But we all started out as a group, and we all kind of stuck together. And then we were all separated through stoplights and stop signs and stuff. But we had our own little group of, what would you say, Chris?
A dozen.
15?
Yeah, 12
Yeah,
or
about
15.
15 people, riding all together for a little bit. Came to this fork to where we were supposed to get on the freeway or turn or veer to the right. And the people in front, because we weren't in front, were going on the freeway. Then there's this one girl that we called Pirate Girl because she had these crazy, awesome pirate shoes on. Pirate
Yeah,
boots.
her boots like had where the top of the boot flaps back down over.
There was actually a
And she
guy
had this
last
cool
year,
vest on.
the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride, wearing those and a pirate jacket, like a long leather pirate jacket.
Oh, cool. Very
Not when
distinguished.
it's 100 degrees, but it looked. I couldn't figure out what he was trying to play. Like what. But I guess he was a distinguished pirate.
Well, Pirate Girl had the instructions taped on her, the directions taped on her bike. We could see it, and she was telling everybody to to veer to the right. We're not supposed to get on the freeway. So people got on the freeway. We veered right and followed Pirate Girl. And then something went wrong, and we started following somebody else somebody from the ride that was supposed to be.
Yeah, there were a few people that were like marshals that had the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride like bandana like all like stuck to them somewhere so you could see it, and they were supposed to have the directions and know where to go and help in case people got lost, because there was no way to avoid getting split up.
Right. And so she directed us wrong.
Yeah, she took a wrong turn.
And then an old guy came up and said that he knew exactly where we were going. We started following him, and then he didn't. So Chris then realized where we were, and we just went.
Yeah, because they told us, hey, we're going to go ride around downtown a little bit. There's a stopping point to kind of reach. From there, we're going to this one motorcycle dealership, and then from there, we're going to this other place, and then finally to the final point of the ride. And so it was after that first regroup point that we all kind of got away from each other. And I know the motorcycle dealership and like knew where it was, and so I just was like, well, I don't know what route we're supposed to be taking, but I know if we stay on this road, we'll get there. So
as long as you're like not off in the wilderness somewhere completely lost, you know.
Yeah. So then
we
Chris,
were in downtown San Diego.
Leader.
Of nobody, because like nobody was behind me for quite a while.
They were behind. They caught up. About
Yeah,
three
well,
or
that's
four
true.
of them. Yeah.
It's funny. Last year, we like left in this huge group from the art district down in Miami, and there was a couple intersections where, you know, the light was green, it was turning yellow, and guys like got out there and blocked the intersection like a funeral procession thing and let everyone go through. Well, the light turned red. I'm like, man, that is so crazy. But we had such big groups. We ended up, you can't help but get split up, you know.
Yeah, a lot of rides do that though. Like a lot of like, you know, or organized rides will coordinate with like local law enforcement and that sort of thing to get that sort of treatment, so they can get the like stoplights blocked and whatever. But we didn't.
Believe it or not, in a lot of cities, it's a lot of work. You got to get permits for that sometimes, and you got to pay cops. You got to pay them a detail to do that. But you know, it's not a big deal with the DG ride. You get separated, you get separated. As long as everyone knows what the end point is, it's all about having fun. You know, and that brings me to another thing when you talked about all the modern classics there. There was some scuttlebutt last year that the organizers in Australia were going to limit it only to vintage bikes. That would have been a huge mistake. I just don't think. Plus, I don't think it would have fly, you know, over here. But I saw some of the pictures from their ride, and they weren't doing that. There was tons of Thruxtons and Bonnevilles and Scramblers.
Yeah.
Especially now that everybody producing or trying to produce something in that type of bike, like, you know, I think Moto Guzzi's talking about having the V7 come out as a scrambler. They've got the kit for it, but they're talking about doing a production version of it. So the bike's getting really popular. Well, I'm glad you guys had a good time. That was cool. How many people were there, did you say? Like 35 or more?
For the ride itself was probably like 70.
Oh, that's good. That's a good.
Don't you remember the one guy saying that he counted over 105 bikes?
Oh, did he?
Uh-huh.
I don't know.
Wow.
And he got interrupted about 4 times, and we interrupted him once to ask where the bathroom was.
Oh, yeah.
You guys interrupted him to ask what number he was at? Tell me that.
Yeah, I didn't remember what he said. And we picked up a lot of riders along the way too. Like there was, I want to say like when we left the parking lot, there were less people. There were people that were not there that were at the final point. Like I didn't see either Ducati Scrambler until the end.
Right.
And that happened down here too, because a lot of people that from up here didn't want to drive all the way down to Miami, so they went to the boardroom, which was the turnaround point in a bar in Fort Lauderdale, and they either rode back with the group to Miami or just hung out at the boardroom with them. You know, I wish they kind of, and maybe we'll look at it next year, but organize a ride up in this area, maybe even a little bit farther north for the Treasure Coast guys, because they would have got a good turnout. Just no one wanted to drive down to Miami. It's kind of there's a section of I-95 between the Golden Glades interchange where like the Florida Turnpike and 95 kind of converge, and then there's this road called the 826. That stretch of road down to the 112 in Miami it's like driving in a third world country on that section of I-95. There are people like pulling, you know, goat carts doing 30 miles an hour, and then other people going 100. People that stop right in the middle of 8 lanes of traffic and just sit there. It's crazy. So I dread every time I got to go down to that part of Miami, taking that section of 95. And if you get off 95 and try to go like the surface roads, it'll take you forever because of the traffic and the lights. So that probably factored into my decision not to be down there as well, subconsciously.
Yeah.
But anyway, speaking of rides, for those of you that pay attention and notice that today's October 4th, I was supposed to be in Asheville today for the Overland Expo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even pay that much attention.
So I took Thursday off of work, loaded the bike up Wednesday night, had all my camping gear, everything packed, ready to go. Already have arrangements made with press credentials. Was all excited, and Lisa goes, "Have you looked at the weather yet?" And I'm like, "No, should I?" She's like, "It says there's a 100% chance of rain the whole weekend." And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't mind riding through a little bit of rain." She's, "No, they're talking about like floods and storms." So I kind of think, she usually bumps it up a notch a little bit. So let me just go and look at the weather report. Yeah, sure enough, because of the hurricane, all this water's getting dragged in, and this rain's getting dragged into the Carolinas to the point where South Carolina, North Carolina, they declared a state of emergency. They had flash flood warnings for the whole area, and there was not going to be any let-up. It wasn't like Friday was going to be a rainy day, and then Saturday, Sunday were going to be gorgeous the whole weekend. So I started getting on Adventure Rider, looking at a couple threads that they were posting about it, and there were people that actually live near Taylor Ranch saying, "Hey, I'm 5 minutes from the place, and I'm not going to go. That's how bad it is." So I went back to work. I went to work on Thursday. Didn't take the day off, saved that vacation day, and then took off Friday morning. And I ended up just going up to Ocala National Forest and camping there for the night, and then came back yesterday. Because the more I checked into it as I was going north, the more I found out that they actually had closed Taylor Ranch to anybody coming in for day passes, and that they canceled all the motorcycle classes. So it was pretty bad. And I haven't heard anything since then from some of the guys that are there, but now I'm kind of glad that I ended up not taking that whole entire drive up to Asheville. Cause
Speaking of rain, like, it's coming down like right now.
Really? In San Diego?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that it was going to rain today.
Yeah.
I don't pay attention to the forecast.
Yeah, it's getting kind of.
I need a cover for my bike.
Oh, poor bike.
Maybe I should get one. Like,
just go
make a phone
stick
call.
it in the laundry room.
Call the people that we did the. Remember the interview with that company that makes covers?
Yeah, Empire Covers.
Yeah, Empire Covers. That or that.
If they make
that, can you have that that garage thing there? The one that kind of pulls up over the bike?
Probably not.
The clamshell thing?
Yeah, probably not.
Why not? I'm sure the manager will let you.
Yeah, but she's kind of.
Manager, don't you?
She's kind of a bitch.
She is.
She's really demanding.
Get some dog poop, put it in the bag,
horrible.
light it, and put it on her front step and run away. Knock on the door and run.
Yeah,
away.
I'd do that. Well, there's two problems. See, I'd do the dog poop thing, except that one, she doesn't have a doorbell, and two, it's my front door. So
just don't step in it. Just do it, knock, run away, and then let her step in it. She's listening right now. Oh, crap. So the other news we've got is Crash is going to be here for the AIM Expo.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually have plane tickets and everything. It's going to happen.
It's official. Who's taking you to the airport?
Yeah, we're going to have a good time.
Probably that mean manager lady at the apartment complex.
Oh, really? You're going to get a ride from her?
Yeah. To the airport.
Every time you say mean manager lady from the apartment complex, I can't help but think of... I see her face. I'm picturing her in...
So for listeners, Jess is the manager of our apartment complex.
They figured that out.
I have not figured that out. If you're that confused.
Figure that out. They're not. All of our listeners aren't that slow. Some...
Look, I've got to... Look, Chuck and Todd might listen to this show, and I don't know if they would get it.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Wheel nerds.
What was the bowling movie called with
The Big Lebowski?
No. Same.
Oh, Kingpin.
Kingpin. I think of that.
Oh, her? Oh. Yeah. No. The one that he's like, the one that he's nailing to get a discount on his rent. And she looks disgusting.
Sorry, yeah, no. Watching this just doesn't remotely like that manager. Okay. back on track. So AIM Expo, we're gonna do some interviews and the usual nonsense, but we'll be doing some Periscope stuff as well. So if you don't know what Periscope is live video feed. That's an app you can download for iPhones or Android or Windows phones, and I believe it's kind of owned by Twitter. So follow me on Twitter, Stephen Grasso, all one word, StephenGrasso, and you'll get notifications when we go live on Periscope. It'll pop up on your phone. And you can follow us on Periscope, but it's kind of cool. They'll just be short videos. Like if we see something kind of interesting or something funny, we'll pop a real quick short Periscope video up so you guys can kind of share it with us. But in the meantime, we'll be recording interviews, and depending on how it goes, excuse me, we may even record an episode of the show while we're there too, since we're going to have, I am staying with Chuck, or I'm sorry, with Todd.
No, it's Chuck. It's Chuck.
There with Chuck and James. So Chuck from the Wheel Nerds and James from the Pace. We have a house that Chuck got.
I'm staying with them too.
Yeah, and you're going to be there too.
Yeah.
So, and maybe I got to call Chuck. Maybe we can get it. I'll bring an air mattress. We can squeeze Spencer in there too. We'll see. But
Jess, you look sad.
So,
Hi.
Sorry, Jess.
I am sad.
But it's really all motorcycle stuff. So, I don't know.
If your assistant manager was better, you'd have been able to
If
go.
he was better, you're right.
Really? Can I call somebody or not? It's not going to help?
It's not going to help.
No.
And Jess is going to be in the middle of a transition period with a new assistant manager, so she can't really take off work.
No. There's one next year, too. They have
I'll
this.
be there.
Yeah.
And then I won't go.
Wait, isn't it in Arizona?
No, that's Overland Expo.
That's Overland Expo. Are you guys going to try to make that next year?
Yes, we're going to try.
Yes. With the whole family.
Yeah, we're thinking about taking a camper out with the truck.
Yeah, that would be perfect for that, actually. That'd be a lot of fun. They'd get a kick out of that, especially with all the stuff that, the horseback riding and all that other stuff at Lake Mormon. Just hope it doesn't turn out like it did, or Mormon Lake, like it did this year. I heard it snowed while they were there.
Yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, there were some actually pictures of guys' bikes covered in snow, which, you know how much of a baby I am when it comes to cold weather. So, but speaking of that, I got a new sleeping bag. So that one that I took to Overland that I can't zip up with me in it,
right,
is no longer. So I got something that's cut like a. Do you remember when we were there? The first morning we got up when it was so, because you slept in, I was freezing, and I was talking to that guy that had the BMW. What is that? An H4? The
HP2.
HP2. He was kind of like across from us, and he was a ex-Special Forces guy. We were having coffee in the morning, and then there was a guy next to him that had one of the Redverse tents. And I was talking about how the ground was like really ruddy and how uncomfortable it was. 'Cause I had that really thin mattress, and he was like showing me that he had that mattress from Thermarest that's kind of it's a cot that's got bows in it, but he had a bed in there like. I think Sierra Design, they make these beds that are kind of cut like an actual bed. They're not a mummy bag. Well, then I remember we went to the show and I bought an air mattress from Nemo, one of the Nemo Cosmos, which kind of helped because it was thicker and it padded the ground a little bit. I actually ended up buying one of their sleeping bags called a Mezzo Loft, which is, again, cut like a bed. So you can actually, my thing is I can't stay in one position when I sleep. I turn all night long. I roll around. And this bed, it's cut so rectangular and wide, you can actually sit there and spin completely around in it. It's really nice. So I tried that this weekend when I was in Ocala, and it worked out great. And speaking of Redverse tents, I ended up getting an alert on eBay for one that was being sold super cheap that a BMW dealership had bought and used as a display in front of the shop, and were selling it. They packed it all up and were selling it. So I ended up doing a make an offer on there. They counter-offered. I counter-offered again with an even lower price, and they accepted it. And then the really funny thing is that tent weighs about 14 pounds packed. It's pretty big.
Right.
They had a shipping cost on there. Go ahead.
But it's for listeners that don't know what the Redverse tent is, it's the tent that has a motorcycle garage built into it. So you
Okay,
can pull
I
your
didn't
bike right up in it. Yeah,
Yeah.
I knew that. But yeah, so you pull your bike up into the side of the tent, and then like to the left of your bike is like a vestibule for your crap, and then to the right is your actual like sleeping area with a door and everything.
And here are the nice things about it. One, for me in my age, I'm not crawling into a little tent because you can stand up and walk in this thing. It sets up pretty quick, and you don't necessarily have to use the garage part as a garage. It'd be nice if you were packing the bike in the rain or you had to do maintenance and you wanted to get out of the weather or the sun. Or let's say you're at a campground, you just want to go for a hike. You can hide the bike. No one's seeing your motorcycle sitting out there. But the truth is that if it's raining and you got the bike parked outside, you can sit in there and make a meal or hang out with people and have some coffee. I kind of like that whole idea of that big giant garage vestibule thing. The funny part I was talking about is the weight. The tent is pretty heavy, but on the shipping on eBay, I'm thinking this is going to be, the shipping's going to be expensive. Well, they had marked the shipping on there as a flat rate envelope for $5. So that's what I'm paying.
I don't think it's gonna fit in there.
It's not going to fit. They're going to have a problem. But that's how the auction went, and that's how it's stuck on there, and that's all I paid for. So I'm either waiting for an email for them going, we made a mistake, or they're just going to ship it, and that's it. So we'll see. But hopefully if I go to Overland Expo next year, I'll be meeting you guys out there, and I'll bring that with me.
That'd be cool.
If it snows, we can sit in there and have coffee, and you guys can have something else.
If it snows, you can come over to our little camper.
Well, that's right. I forgot you're not going to be in a tent.
No, we're gonna bring everybody. Bring the kids.
Yeah, the goal is to bring so I can rent for pretty cheap. I can rent a camper trailer through the Navy's Morale, Welfare, and Recreation program. Like a sort of a pop-up, like an A-frame pop-up
Oh, those
trailer.
are cool. I know which ones you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's called an A-liner.
Yeah. Those are neat.
Yeah, so I can rent one of those, and they're light enough that my Tacoma will pull it.
What's this Navy program? Speak more of this. What else can you?
Okay, so almost anything outdoor and fun you can think of, like mountain bikes, paddle boards, canoes, kayaks.
That's kind of cool.
Road bikes.
There at the base?
Yeah, so like every region kind of has like a main one that has all this stuff, and then they sort of like each of the bases in the region will have like some of it, but the San Diego region, the base that has everything is really close here. So yeah, I can get a camper. I can get for like, I want to say it's like $90 a day or something. It might not even be that much.
That's a lot less than if you went to one of the other places.
Yeah, I mean for like $45 I can rent a stand-up paddleboard all weekend.
Well, that's cheap. Yeah. Because here in Jupiter they charge by the hour for those for stand-up paddleboards. Yeah.
They do that here too. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool. That's really reasonable too. What's that place called?
Yeah.
Cruise America, I think, is the big one that rent. Like I know a powered motorhome from Cruise America is like $300 a day.
Whew.
Yeah. It's crazy. But for that, to have a little camper, that'd be fun too. It's only a 7-hour drive from you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of
And
fun.
if we're taking a camper, we're just doing all interstate. Like me and Christy last year, 2014, Christy and I rode out. Took fun roads the whole way and got really mad at people in Jerome, Arizona, and got people in Jerome, Arizona really mad at us. But
why were you guys
if we're taking a
flying
truck
down the road or something? Or
well, okay, so Jerome, Arizona is this little tiny town in the middle of like on these cliffs, and a lot of the speed limit is like 15. And we were going the speed limit, but then like there were a couple cars in front of us that were just suddenly going 5 through the town, like looking for a place to park or something, and one of them started to turn to park, and Christy was like, "Oh, screw it," and just went around, and I did too. And as we went around, like various townsfolk on the side were like, "Slow down!" Making stupid hand gestures and whatever. And Christy and I are just like, screw you.
Bikers.
Like,
Right.
I know, right? And the funny thing is, like, yeah, it's like, darn bikers, and she's on a BMW like 800 GS, and I'm on my Bonneville, like,
Right.
you know, just the picture of rebel biker America.
Damn Sons of Anarchy.
Seriously.
That's funny. And everybody, you know, people that aren't really in the whole scene kind of lump us all in the same category. So it's the funny thing is every time you talk to somebody who doesn't know anything about motorcycles, and you know they overhear you talking about riding, like, oh well, you have a Harley? Like no, you know, like name another brand? A Harley? You have a Harley? No, that's all they ask. Same thing every time. And then when you say you don't, you have something else, they kind of walk away from you. All right, bye. I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, or unless, you know, if you drive a Bonneville, every time you get gas, old people will be like, oh man, that was the bike I learned how to ride on. I used to have one of those, and I've got earplugs in. I'm just looking at them like, I don't know anything that you're saying to me right now. I'm just gonna nod every time you pause and kind of smile.
That exact same thing happened to me on the way back from the forest yesterday. So I'm pulled off at one of the turnpike plazas, you know, and you know, I'm in full gear, so it looks like I just rode across the country. There's dirt all over me and everything, and I see this couple pumping gas, like catty corner from me, and they're in a minivan. You know, they're the completely stereotypical minivan couple, and they're wearing like matching Gators outfits, you know, from the football team. And I see the guy look at me, and he comes walking over, and I'm thinking, oh no, here we go. This is either a question about directions or, you know, where are you riding from? And the guy walks up, and the same thing, you know, I've got the earbuds plugged into the Sena, listening to a podcast or music. And he's talking, I just hear his mouth move. But do you ever use your little ambient noise thing on the 20S?
You know, I haven't used that, the ambient button. I just like 2 weeks ago figured out what the heck that button does. Like I just never I had that 10, the SMH 10 for so long that I just didn't even notice there was a button down there until just the other day when I was like switching it from one helmet to another. Yeah, I mean it's.
I pressed.
I was like,
yeah, it works great. I pressed the thing twice, and I kind of like gave him the finger, like, hold on a second, I can't hear you. You know, I'm pointing to the.
You gave him the finger.
The finger. I was like, yeah, hold on a second, and he stops talking. I push the button. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what'd you say? And he goes, hey, I got a 2014 California. And I'm like, oh, that's
nice.
Yeah, so we just started BSing about Gucci's, and he's had other ones and stuff and everything, and he's like, great bike, you know, and so it ended up being this really cool conversation that we had for a while, and I just want to give a shout out to that guy. He gave me his business.
Yeah. So, Jess, you've gotten to ride with a couple of different, you know, earbud situations going on in there.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about it some?
My earbuds, they're great. So I first started with the worst possible choice ever, which was my Apple earbuds that came
with my
earpods.
phone. Those things are crap. Not even just for like.
They're hard. They stick out. Crap. Yeah, they're a piece of crap. So I used those for a little while, and then we rode to Julian, and I was wearing those, wasn't I?
Yeah.
For like 2 hours.
Yeah.
And my head hurt really bad. I could hear everything. All the wind, the whole bike, and then like straining to hear Chris talk to me. And I could hear myself talking too.
Yeah, so she's got my SMH10 in her helmet, and I've got the 20S. I'm getting you a 20S one of these days.
We need to switch.
Anyway, we do.
Yes. So my new earbuds, what are they called?
Well, also you used my HTC earbuds that you're using right now.
Yeah, the ones I have in my ears right now.
They
don't stick out as much, and they worked better than the Apple. And then.
Yeah, so now you've got those Westone UM10 Pro.
Mhm. And I'm using the styrofoam or memory foam type cover on it.
Yeah, they're made by they're Comply Foam is what they're called. That's the name of the company. It's basically you have the upgrade, the newer version, the newer model of the same ones that I use.
Yeah, they're
just
great.
Different earbuds.
Yeah, I want to try the plastic ones that you have to see if there is a difference, just to see. But right now, I'm extremely happy with the amount of wind that it cut down.
How do you
I
spell
don't.
West Tone?
What's that?
How do you spell that? West Tone.
Westone.
WES. Okay.
Yeah. So the UM10 Pros are like their model series right now is kind of confusing. So they've got the UM10, like they're the UM series for universal fit monitors, and then they've got the W series. I don't know what the W stands for, but I could see almost no discernible difference between the UM10 Pro and the W10. All the ones that are like 10, 20, 30, that's just the number of drivers that are inside the monitors. So the UM10 has one speaker in the monitor.
Mm-hmm.
The 20 has 2, 30, 40. They have up to 50. They have the UM50, which has 5 little tiny speakers inside the actual like earbud. Yeah, I don't know what the difference between the UM and the W series is, really. I couldn't figure it out. The UMs were slightly cheaper, I think, so that's the ones I bought. And that's the same ones that I have. They didn't have the W series before. They also have an Adventure series that is a little more expensive, but it didn't really apply to my application or Jess's. But if I was going to like mountain bike in them or something, it would be cool. They're water, like sweat resistant, they're water resistant. They're kind of like a sport in-ear monitor. They're the same kind of thing. They stick into your ear canal, but they also have an inline microphone, so you can use them as your hands-free like earbuds on your phone.
How come I can't find these anywhere? Like the oh, here we go. I got it. UM Pro 10. I just want to see what the shape is. Compare. All right. See, I have the Etymotics, which the tips on those are, you can get these types of tips like this, like the little mushroom thing, and then they have the ones that are like kind of Christmas tree shaped.
Yeah, I use the Christmas tree shaped ones.
I use the mushroom heads.
What was that, Jess?
I said I use the mushroom head looking stuff.
The mushroom head ones. And then they have foam tips, too, where you kind of like squish them and mold them down and then stick them in your ear canal. But these look...
using right now are the foam ones.
The foam ones. These things look a lot bigger than... But you're saying that these don't kind of stick out? They kind of fit in your ear?
Yeah, so the Etymotic ones, I know they're almost like a straight... The design looks kind of like a pistol.
Right.
Where if you look at how the cord comes out would be the handle, and then the thing sticks into your ear. These, think of a hearing aid. The tips go into your canal, and then the hearing aid portion of the speakers go up into the inside of your ear.
Yeah, I really like.
And then the cord comes out at the front of your ear and wraps up around behind your ear.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Let me look at the W real quick and see what the difference is.
No, I can't tell. Colors. They come in different colors. And the price is slightly different. It's like $5 or something. I don't know what the difference is.
The cable's a little different. It's not like on the UMs, the cable's covered. This one, the cable's not.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the only differences.
This one, the cable completely disconnects from the monitor.
Yeah, I think Jess's disconnects and the W's disconnect. Mine are older than that, so mine don't. And I've just been waiting for my cables to break.
And that's a really great idea, though, because that's the biggest failure point is the cables.
Then replace them.
Did you ever see what they cost to do that?
No, I don't. Honestly, I don't even like. I've been wearing mine for 4 or 5 years now, and
really?
I haven't had any failure. They're the same pair I've been wearing this whole time. I lost them once and bought new ones, and then found them and returned the new ones. I should have just kept the new ones, but.
Well, when the Etymotics take a crap, I might because they look kind of fragile, and the post where the earpiece goes is not that big. I'll tell you a funny story. Last Sunday when I went and hung out with Kyle's family, my youngest son, I got to his house, I took my gear off, and I'm sitting there watching TV with him, and my head felt like really stuffy, like I couldn't hear very well. And I kept like trying to yawn and clear my ears, and kept like blowing my nose and clearing my ears, and I'm like, something's wrong, I can't hear well, which is saying a lot for me being as deaf as I am. So my ear's itching a little bit. I go to stick my finger in the ear, and I feel something in there. The damn earpiece came off and was stuck in my ear, and I couldn't.
I've had that happen.
Yeah. So I told Kyle, I'm like, go get your tweezers, and he had to like go in there with a flashlight and dig this thing out. I have these accessory tips on the Etymotics that have like a longer tube on them, so they're probably too far in the ear canal. Like a dope, I must have jammed them in there. But
I had that happen a couple times when I was trying out different ear tips for mine. Different companies, it seems like, so the ear tips that I use are made by Shure, and they're silicone little Christmas tree shaped things, but they're really, when you stick them on the headphone itself, they're really tight. They don't pull off. I tried some other ones that I found online that were like cheaper, that the silicone in them was not as like firm, I guess. And so when you went to pull the earbuds out, the tip would just stay in your head.
I think these things, is just as they get a little bit older, they start to wear. So I'm looking here and I see this Adventure Series from Westone too. It's about the same cost.
Yeah. Those are the ones that have the built-in microphone, and they're like splash proof or something, so like you can sweat on them and whatnot. Right. But I've never had any trouble with mine.
And it might have to be after these things. I mean, the Etymotics sound fantastic. I never had an issue with the way they sound. They sound great.
Jess, have you listened to music on yours at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay. You've only ever heard me talking to you through the intercom.
Right.
Thing.
Right.
So,
should I?
I was going to get your opinion on what they sound like.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
Did you turn Jess's Vox off in her unit?
No.
No.
No, her SMH10
talk whenever she wants to.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's funny. So until she and I started riding together, I'd never used the intercom feature,
right?
And I didn't realize you don't have to repair the two headsets every time. Like I thought.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I thought that when you turned them off and then you turn them back on, you'd have to repair them. But I had no idea you can just turn them both back on and hit the intercom button and talk.
Have you played around with the Sena app on your phone?
Yeah, I use the Sena app on my phone to adjust all the settings on the 20S, but you can't adjust the 10 settings on it.
It'll show you all your pairings, too. There's a pairing list on there that you can look at, and it'll show you all your pairings that you have, including phones. It's kind of cool.
That'll help, because I need to clear out a pairing anyway.
Yeah, it's really neat. We were in North Carolina when I had the 10s, both of them, and me and Lisa were riding around, and she was on the back of my bike. I turned hers off when we got to a stop because she was pointing out every cow, dog, horse, chipmunk on the road, and I'm like going through these really fast corners trying to pay attention to the outside of the corner, and she's like, look, a cow, look, like that. And finally I stopped and I said, I got to turn it off. I see the cow, but I'm looking at the road.
Like you're not allowed to talk anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can definitely say that Jess is a very good passenger. She doesn't distract.
Thank you.
I got to tell you too, and this isn't because Sena has given us demo product to use, but out of all the products I've used in this realm, which is probably 3 or 4 different brands, and I had Cardo for a really long time, the 20S's are by far the best.
Have you noticed? This is sort of more of a question that has come up since Jess started using my older one. The noise cancellation in the 20S is supposed to be better than the 10, and I've noticed when she and I are riding, I can hear like wind noise and the motorcycle's engine and all sorts of stuff in my ears coming from her microphone.
Yeah, absolutely. The mics are better. The noise cancellation is better. I had a conversation with somebody Friday when I was heading up to Ocala, and I've told you this before. They have no idea I'm on a motorcycle.
Yeah, actually, I've got a story too. It just happened the other day on the way to work. So, in California, we lane split. And on the way to work, I was splitting, and my phone started ringing. And I'm like, okay, who is this? So I hit my phone button, and a guy I work with who lives down here in IB is like, hey, was that you that just passed me on your bike? I was like, probably. He's like, how fast were you going? He's like, it seemed like you're going like 1,000 miles an hour. I was like, I don't know, probably like 30. He's like, okay, cool. He's like, well, obviously you're going to beat me to work, so can you let them know that I'm running behind? And then when he got there, he goes, dude, I could not tell you were on a motorcycle at all. I could not hear anything but you talking.
Yeah, the technology is incredible. And they've come, from the first time these types of communication systems came up, they've come a huge, huge way on these. But by far, out of all the ones I've used, Sena's got the best clarity. The control wheel is super easy to use instead of having to. There is still a lot to remember on, because you're looking at now with that ambient noise button on the bottom. You're talking about 3 buttons plus the center of the control wheel plus the control wheel. But the cool thing about it is you can set it up for audio commands. So you can go into an audio mode and just tell it what you want. It integrates perfectly with Siri on the iPhone. So
yeah, it did great with Google Now too. When I have an iPhone now, but I had an HTC for a long time, and yeah, it was fantastic. You just click the phone button and you open up Google Now, and you could just tell it whatever you wanted to tell it.
Yeah, no, it works really well. The only time I have a difficulty with it, and it's usually a problem with me, would be a pronunciation problem with Siri. But other than that, the thing is phenomenal. And you can set it up for multitasking. You can set it up for the GPS. So I've got, on this trip I had Waze running in the background, just subtly in the background, giving me directions while I'm listening to podcasts or music or talking to somebody. And it really makes a long trip for me. I know some people talk about it and they're like, well, it's a distraction and you really shouldn't have a distraction in your head. And yeah, I get that if I'm on a piece of roadway that might be technical, but when you're like on 95 or the turnpike, like my regular commute to work and there's no traffic, I can listen to a podcast or news or music in the background and still pay attention to what I'm doing. Doesn't change it when you're in a car, right? You don't lose concentration when you're in a car. But it's a great product. I know some people just don't buy into the whole listening to music while you're riding thing, but I personally like it a lot.
Something that, again, through experimentation on the, having 2 headsets to mess around with finally, you can share music. So, like, if you and somebody else are listening, or if you're listening to something on your phone, you can share that with your intercom, like, pairing. And so that both of you are listening to music off the one phone, which is kind of cool. The only
tried that yet?
We tried it, or I tried it like sitting on the bed with one of these headphones on and an earbud in the other ear plugged into both headsets, just to see how to make it work and to see how it worked. So like, if I play a song on my phone and then initiate the music sharing, you can't talk over the music. It doesn't just like open up a mic channel so that you guys can talk over the music. So that kind of isn't my favorite thing. And then if you hit the intercom button to enable the talk, it will pause the music on. It pauses the music, which is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then when you turn intercom off, it doesn't go back to music sharing. You have to start sharing again, which is kind of a process. It just involves like long pressing the button until you hear music sharing and then letting go. But it's still like, if you're riding down the road and maybe if you wanted to have your passenger do all that so that you're not trying to like ride with your hand off the controls for too long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I haven't tried that yet, and I've got, I still have 2 of the 10s, and I'm gonna give one of them to a buddy of mine. But I'll rig up Lisa's helmet with the other one. She's been undecided on what helmet she wants, so I've got to figure out which one she wants and then hook that thing up. And I'm gonna get, the one thing I haven't really found yet is the additional bases for it yet, because I want to put one in my.
Those are on Amazon. It's like $70 for a pack that has the base with the microphone, and it comes with basically every accessory that came in the box with the 20S except the 20S.
That's a great price. That's because the other one, the 10s, were about $100. So that's a really great price. Oh, that's cool. I'll definitely have to do that. So speaking of helmets, the Nolan kind of died on me finally.
Mm.
It's really, the inside padding is now coming out as if it was like dry rotted, and the ratcheting system for the visor is about shot. So it's going to be time for a new helmet. And I'm going to throw it out there to the listeners for some suggestions on if you have a favorite modular helmet, because that's what this is. It's a Nolan N90, which was one of their lower end modulars. So if there's a particular modular helmet you like or don't like or tried and loved or hated, let me know. Shoot me an email or send me something on Facebook, because there's a couple I'm thinking about, but price is a consideration for some of it, and definitely comfort and noise. I don't really know what I'm going to get. I wish Arai made a modular. That'd be an easy choice for me.
Yeah, that laser, the laser Monaco that I had, I really liked a lot.
Was that a carbon fiber helmet?
They make it in fiberglass and carbon fiber, and I had the carbon fiber one.
And the Monaco, the flip-up Monaco was carbon, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, so you can get a fiberglass one, but on both helmets, the chin bar is fiberglass. So the carbon model is all carbon in the head part, and then the chin part is fiberglass. And the black one is really cool. It's not like a plain black, but not like bass boat glitter. Like it looks nice. It doesn't look tacky.
You know, I don't think, from thinking about laser in the past, I can't remember if they were at AIM or not. So I'm gonna have to look and see. But I plan on.
I still have the helmet. Yeah.
The Monaco you still have?
Yeah, I still have it. It's house.
Yeah. I gotta check it out. What are you gonna bring that Shark with you?
Yeah, probably, since it's already got the Senna on it and everything, I'll probably just pack that.
All right, cool. Anything else?
Anything? Yeah, just if you want to, like, lately I've actually been posting pictures to Instagram, and there are motorcycle related stuff going up there. So I'm Cafe Racer X on Instagram. I'm also on Cafe Racer X on Twitter, but I'm hardly ever. You can find the show at facebook.com/Cafe Racer Podcast or www.caferacerpodcast.com. We recently got a new Patreon supporter, actually. I just remembered. And if you would like to support the show, you can go to Patreon and search for Cafe Racer Podcast or search for my name, Chris Ashmore. So I'd like to quickly thank all of our Patreon supporters. There's a couple of you guys out there, and like our renewal time for our, renewing the website, subscription, everything, like the bandwidth and everything coming up. So generously giving to us every month is going to go to making the show stay on the air.
Yeah, everything we get from Patreon goes right back into the show, and there is costs involved on keeping up our place where we live on the interwebs. So we thank you very much. It's important to us, and we do this because we like to talk about motorcycles, but we like talking to you guys too. And that being said, we're going to be at AIM on the 2 days for the media. So I believe the show opens to the general public on Friday evening. Am I correct in that? Or is it only on Saturday? I believe it's Friday afternoon, right?
I think it's Friday.
If you guys want to hang out with us or just say hi and talk to us, send us something on Twitter to Cafe Racer Podcast on Twitter or Cafe Racer Pod on Twitter. And we'll check in with you when we're there, because we won't be there Saturday, correct? Crash?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I fly out on Saturday evening.
Right. So we may, depending on Spencer and what's going on, maybe we'll stay Friday night and come back on Saturday morning, because it's only a 2-hour drive from Orlando to Jupiter. So
Yeah, that works for me. I don't fly out till like 7 p.m. on Saturday evening, so
that's not a problem. And I know Spencer's probably a little open for it. So maybe if we caught like an hour or two of the show or whatever's going on Saturday morning, and you want to come meet us and say hi, we'd love to meet it because we do this for you guys too, as much as we do it for ourselves. Anyway, that's all I got. Check us out, like he said, on Instagram. I'm on Instagram as well as Steven Grasso on Twitter. We have a Facebook page, Cafe Racer Podcast, which we post to. And, you can go to our website, too. I post a lot of content on our website, which is www.caferacerpodcast.com.
Thanks, Jess, for coming on the show. It was fun.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for doing the intro, Jess. That was cool. And we were,
Messed it up once
our
again.
cameraman for AIM, but maybe next year.
Next year.
Yeah.
Next year.
All right, everybody. It looks like the rain has stopped, so get out and ride.
See ya.